afternoon, gentlemen of the press. The ladies, I suppose, have better businesses or bigger stories pursuing today. In any case, it's another round of press briefing discussions with the various government ministers. And first to bat, if I may use the sports palace, is the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Investment, Tourism, Creative Industries, Information and Broadcasting, Honorable Dr. Ernest Hilaire.
Well, good morning. Thank you very much. Just a couple of highlights to mention. The August tourism arrival numbers are out and will be officially circulated by the Central Tourism Authority. But I can say to you that in August 2025, stopover arrivals had a 2% increase. Let me just make sure. Yeah, had a 2% increase compared to August 2024. Yet, on a year-to-date basis, that's January to August 2025, we are still 3% lower than for the same period in 2024. Of course, you'll recall that 2024 was our best year ever. So we've seen better, higher arrivals for July and for now August compared to 2024. In the first half of the year, we had a slight decline compared to 2024, so we are still below 2024. We saw significant increases in the U.S. market. We continue to face challenges in Canada and the United Kingdom. The Caribbean also showed increases as well. I must also point out to you that this is the period where we've seen a significant number of hotel rooms out of stock, out of circulation, over 1,000 rooms. 25% of our hotel room stock is now under refurbishment and upgrading. Now, this is hurting us because it means we have less rooms available for visitors, but it's also a very good sign that the hotels are upgrading and refurbishing, which is to improve the quality of their product offering. So, I mean, despite having, and that will probably go up until the end of October. So between August and October, and some 2 months, some 3 months, some a month and a half. But we're expecting come November, all the rooms will be back available. But this for us is challenging, but still very encouraging. And despite that challenge, we're still able to get better numbers than last year. So we are encouraged. We continue to see the rise in the United States, the arrivals, and the decline in the United Kingdom. We have done a very in-depth analysis of what's going on. And I think very shortly we'll be having an engagement with the Hotel and Tourism Authority. In fact, the engagement took place last week, Friday, with the Hotel and Tourism Authority, where we presented our marketing plans to them, as well as speak of some of the challenges that we are having. And I think the time will be very soon where we will also present to you, the media, and other stakeholders, you know, what the marketing plan is and what are some of the challenges that we are facing. We have some structural challenges we have to prepare for. In the next 2 to 3 years, we expect a significant increase in the number of rooms in St. Lucia, which we need. We need to have more rooms that will also assist us in boosting the airlift. But we must also start watching the average daily rates for our rooms. And that is an issue in as much as we love the fact that the hotels are, you know, probably making more because the average daily rates are going up. We can start outpricing ourselves in the market. So it's something we need to watch and we need to discuss. So there'll be more discussions on that. But we're very happy with where we see the numbers. There's been a lot of talk that tourism is in crisis, tourism is in decline. We don't share that pessimism. We believe the tourism industry is on a very solid trajectory, and we're expecting to see some significant developments in the industry. We know that there are challenges now. Like I said, over 1,000 rooms between August, October will be not available, and that would restrict what you have in the market, 25% of our hotel room stock. we also know that the average daily rate is becoming a concern in some areas, and not just the room rate, but some of the other services too. The costs of the services are rising, and therefore we need to look at that in our competitiveness. The truth is that St. Lucia more and more is being seen as a luxury destination, and the days of a 3-star hotel and 3.5-star is almost no more in St. Lucia. We cannot get investors who are interested in building 3-star hotels and 3.5-star hotels. So it is a reality, and we need to continue to discuss it and to see how we can prepare ourselves, to deal with those structural changes. It may be that government will have to give some exceptional concessions and incentives to investors to invest in the lower tier to be able to attract, some of the markets where people want to pay less and stay longer, as against the American market, which tend to pay higher but shorter stays. If you're going to be staying here for 9 to 10 days, you would not be the same person who wants to pay high rates. Somebody who comes for 5-6 days would probably be better prepared to pay higher rates. So we're looking at this, and it's really an area that we want to focus on in the coming months. I think, again, we should, very soon, we will be, of course, let me start off differently. You would recall we had signed a memorandum of understanding with the Nigerian government when the president visited, and there were a number of areas in which we agreed to collaborate. The first of which is the Lagos Fashion Week, and St. Lucia will be sending a delegation, on different persons. I'll give you more details next week as to who is going, to be able to start building the relationship between St. Lucia and Nigeria in the creative sector, and in particular fashion, film, and music, the Afrobeats. So we're hoping we can send a designer, we can send a music producer, we can send somebody from Export St. Lucia who will build the links for the export of our services, and as well as somebody from creative industries, from the ministry, who can, of course, look at the policy side of it. But we are working, intensely to make sure we fulfill that agreement that we signed. So you will hear more about this, and this for us is a major achievement. I don't know, I have a third point, but I don't know if you want to ask any questions on these two, because the third one is political. So I don't know if you want to ask me questions on this one, and then we can switch.
Yeah, just to tie into what you mentioned about the visit to Lagos, my interest would lie within the orange economy and the creative sector, its contribution and its importance to our economy.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have recognized that the orange economy certainly can make a significant contribution to the GDP of the country, as well as creating numerous opportunities for our young people. And if you just think about it, even at a superficial level, from designers, seamstresses, musicians, artists, painters. I mean, there's so many areas. And what makes the orange economy even more exciting is that it is dominated by young people, And therefore, when we speak of an age when young people face, higher levels of unemployment than other demographic groupings, it really gives us an opportunity to get them constructively engaged. And more so when you look at, for example, the Youth Economy Agency, where we speak of, your hobbies becoming your livelihood. In other words, you love doing something like painting, and that's your pastime. We're saying to you, you can make it into a livelihood, and therefore you can get the grants from the youth economy. And then we announced the Creative Arts Grant Fund. I can tell you, in the 3 weeks since that was announced by the Prime Minister, we've had over 450 applications 450 applications. We are totally inundated with applications. So now the team is going through each one, assessing it, categorizing it, for us to start making disbursements. And I can tell you this overwhelmed us. We did not expect so many submissions for funding. So we're going to go through all of them. Our hope is to try to reach out to every single person as much as possible. Of course, the team will assess it, the technical team, and advise us moving forward. In fact, I'm already preparing myself to go to the Prime Minister to tell him he might have to top it up. So I haven't, he'll probably hear that in the news. But, you know, the response has been overwhelming. So the orange economy for us is a very powerful, you know, avenue to create more employment, especially among young persons, but also to bring more income into the country, and also to influence the tourism industry, because there's a demand from hotels for high quality entertainment and you know, creative expressions, and we have to be able to satisfy it. So you will see us putting a lot of emphasis on the creative industries. Nigeria now has just done its own concept paper, policy statement, action plan, and they're just launching it now. So it's a chance for our team when they go over there to find out from Nigeria. Now, Nigeria has a huge orange economy. A lot of it informal, but huge. From the Afrobeat music, the fashion, the Lagos Fashion Week is the biggest in Africa and one of the biggest in the world. Of course, we know music in Nigeria, the Afrobeat. We know of art in Nigeria, whatnot. So there's so much that they're doing, and they're trying now to structure it and manage it, you know, in a way. So there's a lot we can learn in terms of what they've done. So the orange economy is, for us, a very important point. And we believe we've been setting the foundation. We've been exciting the creatives. You know, there were criticisms last week from the opposition about, you know, the amount of money we spent on tickets for creatives and other persons to go to Osaka. I mean, it was really unnecessary, that criticism. The creatives went to Osaka and they really, really made St. Lucia proud. I mean, I got goosebumps watching the presentations they were making. And they, as St. Lucians, really took a joy in representing their land. And they lived up to it, that they are damn proud St. Lucians. And they carried the flag and it flew high. Now, I mean, when one will want to argue, oh, it's not the creatives we will complain about, but the officials that went. You know, for me, that was vacuous. The government of Japan paid for the government ministers who came there to be there. But in any case, you know, where does one get this notion that a minister of creative industry should not go with the team to Osaka or World Expo, or anywhere for that matter, where St. Lucia has been represented? But the creatives, we must say to them that they did a fantastic job, and we were really proud of them. And we are putting in place the elements for a fully structured orange economy to exist in St. Lucia.
Similar to something I would have asked you over the carnival period, in terms of quantifying, you know, the gains from carnival. Similarly, don't you think the time has come to begin to quantify the contribution of the orange economy to the GDP?
No, we are. The Ministry of Creative Industries have been in touch with the statistical department. We've designing a model for the measurement of the contribution, and it is being tested, it is being finalized, and the hope is very shortly we will have instruments that can be used to measure. Even the one for tourism, we are still refining it. But you are right. And I keep saying that all the time, because when I sit in the Ministry of Finance and the Minister of Finance, and I'm arguing for more money for carnival, for jazz, for, you know, the different creative expressions, I have to justify it. Now, you can say, look, we can see the evidence of it, but that's anecdotal. We need to have hardcore data that can say, look, it contributes 10% to the economy or 15% to the economy. And we have to be able to do so. And I support fully the need for us to have the instruments to measure the impact. July, during Carnival, is our month of highest visitor arrivals. July. And they spend more when they come for Carnival than when they spend for even vacations, because a lot of money is spent on restaurants, on you know going out to parties and whatnot. A lot of money is spent directly. So I support it totally. And we have been pushing to have the right instrument in place. But these things are methodological issues. There are a lot of, for it to be scientific, it has to be pressure test and, pilot tested and all different processes before it can be taken as valid. Because remember, it must be both reliable, and it has to also be something that one can, and valid, so something that somebody can say every time it will measure the right things in the right way, and it will also be measuring the right things. So, there are experts who are dealing with that, and we will continue to push for its adoption.
Yes, Mr. Minister, focusing on the airline issue. This has been a recurring problem, but lately I've been getting some, I've got some feedback, some documentary. And the hotel industry people, they are looking forward to like more of a regional approach because of the high taxes, So instead of one country having one set of taxes, take a regional approach where the taxes would be streamlined across the board. Is this a priority of CARICOM in terms of trying to reduce this high FS? Is that something that you'll take into consideration?
Well, it has been on the table for a while, and in the case of St. Lucia, we did do a first phase reduction in the taxes. We're now going to review the impact of it. Really, has it had an impact? Now, we have seen an increase in Caribbean arrivals from the Caribbean. We have seen that. As to whether that's caused by the reduction or is just associated with the reduction, we need to find out, not because both one reduced and the other one increased, that one caused that. It could be that the events we have in St. Lucia are a lot more attractive, so more people did come. But we did reduce. I'm hoping we can go write an assessment and send it to the Minister of Finance, because personally, I think we need to reduce the level of FA in the Caribbean. It's just too expensive to travel in the Caribbean, and we just have to continue to work on it. I'm not sure if all the other islands share the same sentiments that we have, but we are a big destination for regional travel. Not all countries are. So other countries probably have less incentive to want to reduce than us, but certainly we want to. We have events in St. Lucia that attracts regional travel, and we, if nobody else does it, we have to do it. I know Barbados has also done it in terms of reducing the taxes on regional travel, and we'll continue to debate it and discuss it and to see how best we can reduce it.
Yeah. But what role would the civil aviation authority play? Is there a regional aviation authority?
Well, that's technical. That's technical. I mean, ours is more from a visitor and marketing perspective. The civil aviation is primarily about the technical requirements and whatnot. For us, it's about how do we market the destination? What do we offer as a product that will induce people to come to St. Lucia? And pricing is part of that. So we have to be speaking. As a rule, St. Lucia does not provide minimum revenue guarantees. Some islands do, but we don't in St. Lucia. And we want St. Lucia to sell itself. And some countries believe that to keep the airlift or to attract more airlift, they are prepared to guarantee revenue for the airlines. We've not reached that point where we believe we must do that.
Over the last couple of days, I've seen that some preliminary marketing and promotion has indeed started for the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival. I saw the save the date came out, and I saw the chairman of the SLTA doing a few rounds in the UK. Mm-hmm. At this point in time, at what liberty are you to share the developments as it pertains to the Jazz and Arts Festival for next year?
Well, I think part of his work in the UK now is discussing a couple of artists that may be coming up and starting to promote it. I think the lineup for next year will probably be the most exciting we've had in a long time. There's somebody in this room who can equally share his thoughts on that, but from what the chairman, the discussions we've had, we're going to make a very determined effort to make sure we keep up the high standards of the Jazz and Arts Festival. I'm hoping next year, though, we can expand more on the arts component. Really get all the community events to include more arts component to it and not focus so heavily on the music side of it. But there are a lot of discussions taking place. But, wait another month and a half, 2 months.
Political statement you want to make?
Just one final question for me. I'm not sure if it has been raised. The whole issue of the hoarding that have gone up on the ramp, which traditionally have been a very symbolic platform for St. Lucia. Are you at liberty to comment as to what is happening there, the use of that area going forward by St. Lucians? Are you at liberty to share any information with that on that?
Well, I think we all know that, and I've said it here before, that the hotels which existed there originally, St. Lucian, Royal St. Lucian, and Papillon Hotel, and of course replaced by Royalton, the Royalton hotels. They have been demolished, and they're preparing to build 3 new hotels there. So the hoarding is the space they occupied before. It should not prevent St. Lucians from using the beach or having access to the beach. That is the original hotel space. And very shortly, early next year, construction will start on the new hotel properties.
The ramp will remain intact for
Yes. Yeah. In fact, what's happening on the ramp now is that we are about to build the toilet facilities and the vending facilities. So, it should have started by now because, like I said, many occasions before, the idea that St. Lucians go to the beach and there are no public facilities if you need to use it is really just not acceptable. So we are going to build a facility there so St. Lucians can go and use the public facilities if they need to. And the vending too. The vending is beginning to become very, disorganized and chaos, whatnot. So having a vending facility will help. Also, the beach facility at Mount Pimad is also under construction. Huh? And, I was lucky to pass there on the weekend just to take a peep at what was going on. And I think, we will be really excited by what we see when it's completed, hopefully by the end of October. We're hoping that sometime early November we can open that facility. And it's going to be a really fantastic facility. Again, it will have public facilities. So St. Lucians coming on the beach, they will have public facilities. And only this morning I had discussions with my team at the ministry and the NCA talking about soufre. And we're also looking to do some work at the Margaret Beach, because on heavy cruise ship days, the number of persons who go down to Sugar Beach and Chastney, it's overwhelming, it's overcrowded. We cannot allow that to continue. So we need to develop more spaces for individuals to be able to use and to have proper facilities. So you will see some of that happening over the next few months.
Question, GPH. Given the way the opposition is weaponizing the GPH for political reasons, isn't it in the best interest of the government to make it more transparent for the public?
To do what?
Make it more transparent because basically they're saying all kinds of things and should it be more transparent for the public to understand this?
But I think we've been very transparent. First they said we sold the pots. We spent a lot of time explaining that we never sold the pots. They said, yes, we sold the pots and whatnot. We explained in detail. I have stood here, I've explained what it is that we have a concessionary agreement for the management of cruise services at the port. Now they came to say that we've leased the land at the port. Now, of course, they know what they're saying is totally wrong. Yes, there is a lease, but the lease is not like for $1 and that's all we get. For GPH to be able to build facilities on the land, they must have some title for it. That's just what the law says. You can't go and build something on somebody's land and you have no permission to do it. The lease in effect is giving them permission to build this for them. Which they will hold for the concessionary period and then becomes ours. Just like when you do a bolt anywhere in St. Lucia for the halls of justice, the same thing exists. So you give them title, but they build in all those facilities for you. So you don't charge them any exorbitant rate. You charge them a peppercorn rate. And that's standard in law and practice. But they move now from saying we sold the port to now we lease the port. Now, For me, the best response to that is to just deliver for the people of St. Lucia, create jobs for the people of St. Lucia, create the best spot in the Caribbean, and let's just enjoy it and let the country move forward. We can spend all our time. And let me tell you, I've been through this already with the opposition. Yeah? So first I stole a vehicle. And then when I prove I did not steal it, well, you didn't pay your taxes in England. And then when you point out, but I'm a diplomat, I don't pay taxes. Okay, you didn't pay your taxes in St. Lucia. Then you say, well, I don't pay taxes. I'm a returning diplomat. So what taxes I didn't pay? Okay, you paid your taxes, but you didn't give us all the documents. So give us those documents. I say, but you have those documents already. Okay, we seize your vehicle until you give it to us, and I'm charging you. And look now, it's all the way up, it went to court and whatnot. So every time you satisfy something, there's a spin on it. There's a spin. So they're already preparing, if St. Lucians understand, no, you have to lease the land so they can build on it. That's development control regulations. They'll say, you know what, so the issue is not the lease, but it's how much they making and how much you making. They will continue to spin it because there's one objective. And that one objective is to make sure there is no progress. The more progress this government has, the more successes this government has, is the more irrelevant the opposition becomes. Think about it. The more irrelevant they become. So their only hope is to destroy and to drag down any possibility of achievement in this country. So anything you do that will make St. Lucians feel accomplished, it must be destroyed. Now, I don't want to talk about Banan because, let me tell you, this one has gotten way out of hand. So there you have somebody who says, Tommy Descartes, the candidate who's going up against me, somebody told him that I say, not he heard me say it, not he was there when I said it, somebody that told him, I said that. And the media carries it. So it was carried. But somebody told him I say. Now, the person who told him that I say, if you just reflect, there is a person, an individual, who has been made a substantial offer, who runs a bar and restaurant. There is no running water, has never had running water. Never had running water. There's only one individual in that entire area that has had running water. The other restaurant had water they collected from the rain and sold, and they sell water at $2 a bucket. So that person has accepted the money, they've broken down their property and they've left. So there's no running water at all. As in, what toilets do you have? You run an eating establishment there. You don't have running water. You don't have toilets. You have electricity, but I wouldn't say how you got the electricity. And then now you've been made a substantial offer. Substantial offer. Somebody has said to you that Madrid got $1 million and therefore, and a new restaurant, so therefore you should hold out for $1 million at a new restaurant. Now, this is what you have to deal with. But like I said, the time will come when all those things will be resolved. So let's put it aside by now. But expect every instance of achievement that St. Jude's, and it will open very soon, very soon. They've now committed to completing the box that they started. Now, who in their right mind, when St. Jude is virtually on the verge of being reopened, you will say to St. Lucians, I'm giving you a commitment that I'll go and finish the box that we started. How can that make sense? Explain that to me. How can that make sense? But that's how the opposition chooses to conduct their politics. So I don't know how much more transparent we can be. I think they believe that if you just muddy the waters, if you just say things, it will create, confusion, and some people will believe it and say it often enough. So they choose their pathway, and we'll choose ours. Ours is one of telling all St. Lucians, let's move forward together to make this country a better place to live in, a better place for your children. So we'll give more scholarships, we'll give more housing assistance, we will try and create more jobs through the youth economy, through the creative economy, through the tourism sector, through agriculture, through the small business enterprises. That's our pathway to it, to tell all St. Lucians, let's move forward together. They can choose their pathway. I saw a clip this morning where one of the opposition persons saying that blood must flow in St. Lucia. how do you want to take a country forward when your clarion call is that more blood must flow in St. Lucia? It cannot work. At the end of the day, all of us have to live on this piece of land. So they choose their pathway and we'll choose ours, which is why we have the big launching on Sunday. Yeah, it's a very good, unless you have another one to us. Well, I think this will be the last press briefing, although the Prime Minister is coming to speak to you as well, that we will be launching our first candidate on Sunday, at Odsa. For those of you not sure exactly where it is, the gas station, the church, there's the inland reception depot there in the yard. And it's a place we've used in the past before. Labour Party has had national rallies in the yard. It's a huge yard that's there. We've used it as far back as, we've used it in 2006. Yeah, we've used it before. And it certainly can accommodate a few thousand people. It's a safe space in terms of it being contained, well-managed, concrete surface. So we plan to put on our very first launching and to really launch Lisa in the best way possible. We have every reason to believe that the Cashville South East seat will be retained by the St. Lucia Labour Party, that Lisa is going to be a formidable candidate, and she will join us in Parliament after the next election, whenever the Prime Minister calls it. And I want to invite all of you to come to Odsa. If you cannot come to Odsa, then view it online or on broadcast television. But it would really set the tone for the campaign that we will conduct. Our campaign will not be one of mepui, roro. You'll always get a little picong every now and then. This, after all, is the Caribbean, and political picong is part of our culture. But no mepui, no roro. We're not calling for violence. We're not threatening anybody. We're not reviving no boloms or anything like that. We will be presenting to St. Lucia what we have done, and we'll be presenting the credentials of our candidate and why, she is always a better choice than Guy Joseph, who, ironically, is deputy leader of the United Workers' Party. So if by some chance he ever gets into Parliament and into government, he can easily become Prime Minister of St. Lucia, which I think is a frightening thought. But we'll make sure that doesn't happen, because Lisa is going to defeat him. So I think this Sunday will set the tone for the next few months, how we will conduct our campaign and the kind of, enabling environment we want in St. Lucia.
You had me there for a moment, you started saying this may be the last press briefing.
Yes.
For a moment, I was holding my breath.
Before the first launching.
Anyway, my question as Minister for Creative Industries, we've heard, just to take it to another angle, on both sides of the political spectrum, we've been hearing songs, remixes, political songs. As Minister of Creative Industries, what would you say to the different candidates in terms of the creative aspect, in terms of obtaining the proper licenses for ECHO, and even for the party itself? What do you have to say to that?
No, I think we have legislation, we have regulations in St. Lucia that covers those provisions, and no matter who you are, you have to respect them. And now that you've mentioned it, I will flag it, that it is something we need to pay attention to, because that's the regulations that everybody should be guided by. So there's no getting away from that. Not because you're in politics or you're a political party. You should willfully and knowingly disregard those requirements.
We speak in politics. The UWP seems to have a full slate of candidates. Does Labour have a full slate? And would it have been more advantageous for Labour to call an election on them before basically they're ready?
Well, I mean, as to calling the elections, that's above my pay grade. Only the Prime Minister can decide when he thinks is the right moment.
As a politician.
As a politician?
Yeah.
No. I'm guided by the decision of my political leader, who is the Prime Minister. He will make that call. And if he calls it 21 days, we'll be ready for 21 days. And if he decides in his own judgment it's best to go, closer to the FIFA anniversary, that too will work for us. I mean, the more time we have to sell our story, for some people, the better that is. But that's not even my call. My call is for the my call is to just be part of the whole process and contribute to it. We have all our all our candidates. We have all our candidates, and we're ready to just take them. Some of us prefer a long, battle, to grind down the opposition to the dust. Some people rather a quick uppercut, knockout, and move on. But the Prime Minister decides those things, and we alone.
All 5 new candidates or every?
We only launch in one candidate.
Oh, you want one?
Yeah, and every Sunday thereafter we will launch one. So there'll be a lot of Sundays of activity.
You have 5 new candidates.
Yeah.
Will each of these candidates get their own launch?
Each of them will get their own launch. And anybody else we believe should be presented again, it will happen. So block off your Sundays for the rest of the year. Block off your Sundays. Yeah, go to church on Saturday nights, because Sundays are now reserved for major activities. And I'm telling you, it's going to be long and interesting. So let's see who is ready for the battle.
Before you go, you mentioned the opposition's deputy's name. I don't know if you had the chance to hear some of his recent platform rhetoric. He is accusing the Labour Party of practicing in the occult and I don't even know how to repeat or convey some of the things he said, but he's convinced that the Labour Party is deep in ritualistic. There's a lot of ritualistic stuff. To cause you to be where you are right now. What do you make of politicians in 2025 that clutch onto that type of folklore, if you will, mythology, even if it's made up? That is what they have to offer the electorate and their base to get them energized, as opposed to, I don't know, speaking facts.
Well, I think probably just a sign of desperation. I mean, such spiritual beliefs have been part of our folklore, who we are, whatnot. So there are people who believe in it and want to practice it, and there are those who just don't. Their eyes are very set on faith in, the God above and the God Almighty. For my part, I mean, I have no notion of those things, none at all, to the point where I don't even believe it exists. That's how it is. It's of no consequence to me. I'm a God-fearing man, and that's it. That's all I know. Like I said, even in our folklore, when people speak about those things, I don't even have an understanding of it. I just don't believe, those things exist. But there are St. Lucians who believe in those things, and he obviously is one. There is an interview of him saying, I think his father or grandfather, had special powers and was part of the occult, whatnot. I mean, all I can tell him is, let God, I hope God, I hope he finds God. I mean,
lastly, I don't know why the political question is coming from this side, but lastly, the opposition leader denied that he ever turns pink whenever he sees you in Parliament. That's one. And two, he used some interesting words to characterize the Philip JPA-led cabinet. Little boys wearing short pants and a bunch of novices. Care to respond to his choice of words to describe yourself and the Prime Minister?
Somebody called me and told me, you must listen to this, you must listen to this. Now, normally I don't bother to listen to those political programs because, for me, it's not really, it's neither here nor there. But they insisted I had to listen to it because the interview, the way it was going, the leader of the opposition crying, or getting tearful over the situation that some people face. I mean, and I'm wondering, he was Prime Minister for almost 6 years. Almost 6 years. And what did he do? The excuse of COVID came cannot hold anymore. You had 3.5 years before COVID came. So forget the last 2.5 years. But tell me what you did in your first 3.5 years to show that you had a commitment to transforming those person's lives. Because I can tell you what Philip JPA government has done. I can tell you the money that I have spent on housing assistance to repair houses, the same condition. Now, we can't repair everybody's house, but I know I have repaired hundreds. I know there are individuals who could not meet their medical bills, the same medical bills he was talking about, and we, out of our CDP, paid for chemo treatment, for CT scans, we did it, pay for medication, because we know they cannot. And do you know what he said and his people said? We are giving handouts. We're making mendicants of the people. So how do you balance? How do you really make it make sense? And so I switched the television to listen to what's really going on. And I mean, I felt the anger in him when he was talking about the economy and little boys in short pants running the economy of St. Lucia. Well, bro, let me tell you something. Little boys in short pants doing a damn good job at it. A damn good job at it. Because you look at the statistics, running an economy with surpluses, with growth consecutively, when to be able to make those payments we've made to public servants in terms of their back pay, their increases, pensioners getting increases, the economy has to have the fiscal space to do so. And it's because it is being managed properly. The increases in support for small businesses, for the youth economy, for scholarships, where is it coming from? It's because the economy has been managed properly and we have the monies to invest in those things. And yet you're saying that the economy is in crisis and things are so bad because little boys in short pants running the economy. Well, let me tell you, that's one time I don't want no long pants, So, and I felt the anger in his voice when he was saying that. It's almost envy to the point of anger, that you're so envious of what's happening. And when the Prime Minister come, ask him, when he came in as Prime Minister, how much money did he find in the Treasury? How much did he find? We did not have enough money in the Treasury to pay salaries. As the Prime Minister, what were the payables of the government? Almost $160 million, I think. It's down to about $12 million now. You know what what the government payables are? It means bills government have out there in the economy, in the business sector, that it has not honored. And it was $160 million. We've taken it down. So this government, in addition to all the things we've done, been able to pay down on government bills, pay down on the Cayman City, Health City, $20-something million outstanding to pay them consultancy fees, payment to Martinique for all the health bills we had. What are you talking about? And the economy is in crisis? That we've run this economy to the ground? I mean, are you serious? So I don't know what kind of delusion is this. I mean, the simple fact is Alan Chesney messed up this country. And let us be fair and reasonable. COVID did come, so it would have had an effect. But why did we have to be the worst affected? Why did we have to be the worst affected? Why did we end up being one of the worst economies in the world? Why? Of course it affected everyone, but we carried it worse than anybody else. And what we've done under the leadership of Philip J. Pierre, stabilize it and make sure it takes off. And the people, and Prime Minister just announced, I think yesterday, he's telling public servants, you'll get another bonus in December.
That's a takeoff,
Another bonus. I mean, even the media wants bonus now,
As minister responsible for us, give us something to follow.
Are you not worried that it's making, worried that your administration is making the private sector look bad by dishing out these bonuses?
Well, we not make them look bad, but I'll tell you something. It's a philosophical principle. I believe when there is, there are successes in the country, when there is, there's achievement of having higher production and higher revenues, it should be shared. I mean, you can't tell private sector how to share their profits, but I believe the people that made it successful should benefit. And the Prime Minister is making a powerful statement. He's saying in the public space, the public servants are contributing significantly to keeping this country where it is and continue along that trajectory of success. And therefore, they should share in some of the, some of not the benefit, but some of the goodness that has come out of their hard work. And that's fair and reasonable that they are contributing. So similarly, if a business is doing well and the books are really showing it, there's nothing wrong in sharing some of it through bonuses with their workers. In fact, I will call on them, to follow the example of the Prime Minister, and where their businesses are doing well and enjoying the fruits of an economy that has improved, they should share it with their workers come Christmas time. And I think so. So the Prime Minister has shown that look, we have shown surpluses, and therefore we can say to the workers in the public service, here is part of it, and benefit from that. Thank you very much.